Hello, my name is Zanya Torres, and I am the Director of TRIO Student Support Services at Cuyahoga Community College's Metropolitan Campus in Cleveland, Ohio. I am also a former project director of Educational Opportunity Centers. This online module was created to review many valuable details of administering an Educational Opportunity Center program and will review much of the information discussed in the EOC program regulations. However, this online module should not be seen as replacement for your own review and study. We encourage you to utilize this training as an introduction or refresher. We will not cover every word and may not answer every question you have, so we encourage you to continue discussion and reference the sources we will provide to you today. In this module, we will review where to find the legislation, or legs, the regulations, or regs, which apply to the EOC programs, review a few important sections of the Code of Federal Regulations for Educational Opportunity Centers projects, and end with a few tips for EOC staff members. The legislation, regulations, and other guidance which apply to the TRIO EOC program may be easily and conveniently accessed on the Department of Education's TRIO EOC webpage under Laws, Regulations, and Guidance. As you can see here, under Legislation, the Educational Opportunity Centers project is authorized by the Higher Education Act of 1965 as amended by the Higher Education Opportunity Act of 2008. The Code of Federal Regulations is the official record of all regulations created by the federal government and is divided into volumes, each of which focus on specific areas. The final regulations amending the Educational Opportunity Centers are published and are available on the Federal Register. You may click on the links to be directed to the Code of Federal Regulations, either via PDF or through the electronic Code of Federal Regulations. The Electronic Code of Federal Regulations, or ECFR, is a currently updated version of the Code of Federal Regulations. It is not an official legal edition of the CFRs, but it is a compilation of current material and amendments. The Office of Federal Register updates the material on the ECFR website on a daily basis. The current update status appears at the top of all ECFR web pages. And as a director or staff member of an Educational Opportunity Centers program, you should become familiar with the Code of Federal Regulations applicable to your program. I encourage you to pause this training, locate the Code of Federal Regulations yourself, and print or bookmark these regulations on your computer for easy access later. You will notice that the Code of Federal Regulations for TRIO programs are found in Title 34 and range from Part 642 to 647. The Code of Federal Regulations for the Educational Opportunity Centers project is found in Part 644. Sometimes it requires a little research to obtain information from the ECFRs. A typical reference may include the title, part, section, paragraph, and subparagraph numbers. Each title is divided into chapters, and each chapter is further subdivided into parts or subchapters that cover specific regulatory areas. Each part may be subdivided into subparts. However, all parts are organized in sections. Most citations in the Code of Federal Regulations refer to material at the section level, though. You'll notice that the special symbol before 644 means section. Now that we are familiar with what the Code of Federal Regulations are and how to locate them, let's take some time to review the information included in the program regulations for the Educational Opportunity Centers project. Part 644 is the Code of Federal Regulations applicable to the Educational Opportunity Centers project. You'll notice that the EOC program regulations are separated into 4 subparts. Subpart A is general information. Subpart B, details on applying for an award. Subpart C, information on the selection, evaluation, and review of awards. Subpart D, what conditions are to be met by the grantee. Let's review some of the most important sections for EOC personnel and participants. Subpart A, general information. Section 644.1 outlines the purpose and activities of Educational Opportunity Centers programs. This section advises that the programs are designed to provide information regarding financial and academic assistance to those who are interested in pursuing a post-secondary education program, to provide assistance with the process of applying to post-secondary education programs. And you'll notice that this mentions both the admissions and financial aid processes, and also to provide activities which help to improve the financial and economic literacy of their participants. It is important to note that Educational Opportunity Centers programs may exist as part of a variety of organizations. 644.2 refers to the eligibility or who is eligible for a grant. So while many EOC programs exist within an institution of higher education, secondary schools, private or public agencies, and community-based organizations may also host EOC projects. An EOC project may also exist through the collaborative partnerships of various institutions, agencies, and organizations. Prior to providing services to EOC applicants, you must first determine if an individual is eligible to receive assistance through the program. The criteria for determining eligibility is outlined in Section 644.3. According to the federal guidelines, an individual wishing to receive assistance from the Educational Opportunity Centers project must meet one of the eligibility categories under 644.3, paragraph A, subparagraph 1. An individual must be either a citizen or national of the U.S., or a permanent resident of the U.S., or be in the United States for reasons other than a temporary purpose and be able to provide evidence that they are here with the intent to become a permanent resident, or an individual may also be a permanent resident of Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, or the Trust Territory of Pacific Islands, or be a resident of the freely associated states of the Federated States of Micronesia or the Republic of the Marshall Islands. Just a few side notes. Those familiar with financial aid will notice that many of the eligibility criteria listed previously are similar to those used by the Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid to determine a student's eligibility for federal student aid. Also, it is largely understood that students who qualify for deferred action for childhood arrivals are not considered eligible for TRIO programs given the regulatory guidelines outlined previously. Also, there was part of the last section that indicated that an individual must provide evidence from the Immigration and Naturalization Service. This United States INS was previously an agency under the Department of Justice. However, in 2003, many of its functions were transferred over to the USCIS, or U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, within the Department of Homeland Security. Section 644.3, paragraph A, subparagraph 2, addresses the age requirement for EOC program participants. The individual must be at least 19 years of age, or in the event that the individual is less than 19 years of age, the Code of Federal Regulations outlines that the individual is eligible to participate in the program if they cannot be appropriately served by a talent search project. An eligible individual is one who expresses a desire to enroll or one who is enrolled in a program of post-secondary education and requests information or assistance in applying to admissions or for financial aid for such a post-secondary program. Please note that veterans, regardless of age, are eligible to participate in the Educational Opportunity Centers project if he or she satisfies the eligibility requirements listed above. It is important to understand the permissible services and activities to be provided under your current project. These services are outlined for you in Section 644.4. Services which may be provided by EOC programs include the creation of public information campaigns with the intention of sharing opportunities for post-secondary education and training, providing academic advice and assistance with course selection, assistance in completing college admissions or financial aid applications, assistance preparing for college examinations, college entrance examinations to be exact, education or counseling services meant to improve the financial and economic literacy of participants, guidance or on secondary school reentry or entry into GED programs or other alternative education programs, individualized personal, career, and academic counseling may be provided by the program, tutoring services, career workshops and counseling, mentoring programs, and programs and activities that are those listed above, but which are specifically designed for students with limited English proficiency, individuals traditionally underrepresented in post-secondary education, disconnected individuals, individuals with disabilities, experiencing homelessness, those in foster care, or aging out of the foster care system. While your program regulations speak directly to the administration of EOC projects, these are not the only regulations which apply to EOC programs. For more information on regulations which apply to the EOC project, please refer to Section 644.6. Here, you will find the applicable parts of the Education Department General Administrative Regulations, also known as EDGAR, and applicable parts of regulations from the Office of Management and Budget. Confused about the exact definition of terms used throughout your regs? Well, Section 644.7 will help you out tremendously. Paragraph A describes where you can find the general definitions of 16 terms used throughout your regs. Many of the terms may be found in OMB's uniform guidance. However, there are some additional definitions included in Section 644.7. Let's take a look at some other definitions provided to you in this section. Financial and economic literacy. Knowing the definition of financial and economic literacy is key to understanding the diverse array of services which qualify to be provided and counted for participants of the Educational Opportunity Centers project. According to the definition listed here, financial and economic literacy is not solely limited to the financial aid application process, but also includes knowledge and personal financial decision-making through budget planning, understanding credit building principles and short-term goals, cost planning for post-secondary or post-baccalaureate education, understanding a college's or university's cost of attendance, applying for, comparing, and performing searches for financial aid, and providing assistance with the completion of the free application for federal student aid, also known as FAFSA. Foster care youth refers to those youth who are in foster care or aging out of the foster care system. HEA stands for the Higher Education Act of 1965, as amended. Homeless children and youth are those persons defined in Section 725 of the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act, and this definition can be found in Title 42 of the U.S. Code, Section 11434A. The term is largely defined as individuals who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. Individual with a disability means a person who has a disability, and that term is defined in Section 12102 of the Americans with Disabilities Act, where it reads that the term disability is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities of such individual, a record of such impairment, or being regarded as having such an impairment. Two terms of ultimate importance to TRIO programs are low-income individual and first-generation college student. A low-income individual is an individual whose family's taxable income did not exceed 150% of the poverty level. The poverty level amount is determined by using the criteria of poverty established by the Bureau of the Census of the U.S. Department of Commerce. A potential first-generation college student means an individual neither of whose parents received a baccalaureate degree or four-year degree, or an individual who regularly resided with and received support from only one parent, and whose supporting parent did not receive a baccalaureate or four-year degree. Confused on what the current or prior year low-income levels may be? These are available for easy access on the Department of Education's TRIO EOC webpage. Just click on Resources, and then Current or Prior Year Low-Income Levels. Here are the current low-income levels effective January 31st, 2017. Please note, these are updated annually. A veteran means a person who meets either one of the four criteria. An individual who is a veteran is one who has served on active duty as a member of the armed forces for a period of more than 180 days and was discharged or released under conditions other than dishonorable, is an individual who served on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces who was discharged or released because of a service-connected disability, or was a member of a reserve component of the U.S. Armed Forces who was called to active duty for a period of more than 30 days, or was a member of the reserve component of the U.S. Armed Forces who served on active duty in support of a contingency operation on or after September 11th, 2001. Subpart B, how does one apply for an award? The most important section of Subpart B is Section 644.11, where it discusses the assurances your institution or organization committed to when your program submitted your original proposal. Please note that at least 2/3 of the individuals served as part of the EOC program must be both low-income individuals and potential first-generation college students. Also, your institution, if it is a higher institution of higher education, must not utilize the EOC project as part of its recruitment program. Subpart C, how does the Secretary make a grant? We won't delve too far into Subpart C, as much as the information included in this subpart deals primarily with the process of reviewing, selecting, and awarding new grants. However, it is encouraged that directors go back and review this information at their leisure. Project directors will ultimately want to know the information included in Section 644.22, which deals with the evaluation of the project and prior experience points. So, 644.22 outlines the details of how expiring EOC projects' prior experience or PE points are applied and impact a new grant award. The information you submit on your annual performance reports each year determine the number of PE points programs will receive. So, how many prior experience points are up for grabs? A total of 15 prior experience points per year during years 2, 3, and 4 of your grant. You'll notice that 3 points are awarded when each program reaches or exceeds the number of participants which they serve. You need to make sure that no less than the approved number of participants are served each year in order to be awarded 3 points for this objective. 3 points are also awarded for secondary school diploma objective completion. So whether or not your program met or exceeded its approved objective with regards to the participants served during the project year who did not have a secondary school diploma or its equivalent, who ended up receiving a secondary school diploma or its equivalent within the time frame specified in the approved objective. 5 points are awarded for post-secondary enrollment. So whether or not the applicant that you met with or the participant that you as a program met with actually enrolled in a post-secondary program. If your program met or exceeded your objective for post-secondary enrollment, you again are awarded 5 points per year. 2 points are awarded for programs who exceed or meet the objective related to financial aid application completion. And 2 points are awarded for college admissions applications. Please note that in order to receive prior experience points, you must have served at least 90% of your approved number of participants. These prior experience points will be invaluable when you go to resubmit for a new grant. Also, subparagraph C does say that in order to receive prior experience points for the number of individuals served, that you must have at least met with the approved, or at least served the approved number of participants. Subpart D. What conditions must be met by a grantee? In Subpart D, we discuss the allowable and unallowable costs and the requirements which a grantee must meet. As we begin to review the allowable and unallowable costs, I believe it is important to mention that each TRIO project is slightly different as to what are included in allowable costs. I mention this because there are often times where one institution or organization will operate more than one TRIO project. Additionally, there are times where you'll have staff or various projects that are speaking collectively and collaboratively with each other. So it is important to realize that some activity costs may be applicable to one project and not another. Section 644.30, what are allowable costs? This section starts off by detailing on what items or activities EOC projects can utilize grant funds for. It does mention that these costs are allowable if they are reasonably related to the objectives in the project. I want you to note the words reasonably related. The definition of reasonable cost can be found in the Office of Management and Budget's Uniform Guidance, and it reads that a cost is reasonable if the nature and amount does not exceed that which would have been incurred by a prudent person under the circumstances at the time the decision was made to incur the cost. Section 644.3, paragraph A, discusses transportation, meals, and lodging for post-secondary visits, activities, and field trips. Paragraph A does specify that prior approval is required for lodging costs. To request approval, you will want to consult your program officer and allow for ample time for a response. I suggest including all planned activities which require lodging to be submitted well in advance and outlined clearly in your annual budget to your program officer. Section 644.30 paragraph B explains that testing materials and test preparation for participants may be purchased. Paragraph C explains which fees may be paid for and when. Specifically, fees for admissions applications, proposed post-secondary college entrance exams, or alternative education examinations may be paid if a waiver is unavailable and the fee is paid by the grantee to a third party on behalf of the participant. Note that both of these must occur in order for a fee to be covered. Paragraph D explains that in-service training of project staff is an allowable expense. And paragraph C outlines when rental space may be paid for. Paragraph F permits the purchase, lease, or rental of computer hardware, software, or other equipment that may be required for participant development, project administration, or project record keeping. 644.31, or what are unallowable costs? As highlighted in the previous module, the unallowable expenses for the Educational Opportunity Centers include any tuition stipends or other forms of direct financial support for participants. And please note that only fees that are to be paid for from grant funds are those that are explicitly outlined in the section under allowable costs. Any research not directly related to evaluation of the program is not allowed, nor is the construction, renovation, or remodeling of facilities to be done with EOC grant funds. Section 644.32, or what other requirements must a grantee meet? Some important highlights of this section include eligibility of participants. A grantee shall determine the eligibility of each participant in the project at the time that the individual is selected to participate. This is a rather important note here. Please make sure that prior to providing services to any participant or individual, that you are deeming them eligible to receive services as part of the EOC project. This must be done prior to actually providing the individual services as part of the program. Please note that for each year of the project period, you must serve at least the number of participants that you have agreed to. And for record-keeping purposes, you must maintain a record of how you determine the participant to be eligible, the services that are provided to the participant, the educational benefit received by the participant, and if there were any services provided in the same project year from another federal TRIO program. As we close, just a few recommendations for TRIO staff. As I noted in the beginning, we did not have time to review every single section of your EOC program regulations, but it's very important that you continue to read and review not just the program regulations, but also all other important documents. So go back and, where possible, review your program proposal, a proposed budget, the grant award notification, or GAN, and other OMB guidelines. Reference these documents continuously and learn and know the difference between words like shall, must, and may, because they definitely mean different things when it comes to reading through your Code of Federal Regulations. If there are more than one TRIO program at your institution or organization, make sure to collaborate with the staff in order to leverage resources. Learn your organization's budget and accounting system. They vary greatly between institutions, and they can mean the world of difference in knowing how to account and track expenses. Actively track your expenses throughout the year. Whether or not you're an individual who's going out in the field meeting with students, requesting money for a particular reason, or a director who is trying to allocate expenses accurately. Find a TRIO mentor or a seasoned veteran that you can ask questions to. And attend professional development trainings, like the one you are attending today. In this module, we reviewed where to find the regulations which apply to the EOC program, reviewed a few important sections of the Code of Federal Regulations for the EOC project, and ended with a few tips for new EOC staff members. Thank you for joining me today. If you have questions about the content discussed in today's presentation, please feel free to contact Nichelle Knox at nichelle.knox@tri-c.edu.